Consumption isn't just about food and water, it's everything we consume, which includes social media and TV. Start to notice what you're exposing yourself to. What are you putting into your body, into your mind, and into your energy field? If we could see our energy field, we wouldn't do half the things we do. It's easy to forget we even have an energy field and to stay asleep, but then we end up walking through life like a zombie, consuming things that are bad for us. If we could actually see the damage that causes to our energy field by watching it lower in frequency and by seeing the contraction of our energy field as it shrinks back towards our bodies, then we'd make different choices. Sadly, for most of us, we can't see our energy fields, although some people can. They can see the auras around people, plants and animals, but most of us can't, so it's easy to forget about it. But the more you can become aware of your energy field, even if you can't see it, you can become aware of it and you can feel it, and you can then measure the impact of the things that are around you and make choices based on what you discover. When it comes to water, here in the UK at least, fluoride is added to our water. Many people know fluoride from toothpaste. We're always being told that we need it to have healthy teeth. But fluoride calcifies the pineal gland, which is a part of your brain that sits in the centre of your brain. The pineal gland is what's commonly known as the third eye and is connected to the third eye chakra. The pineal gland helps us to tap into our intuition. It helps us to see clairvoyantly. It has an incredibly important function in connecting us to the spirit world, and fluoride stops it from working properly. I heard this about a year or so ago, so I started to filter my water and use a fluoride-free toothpaste. Now, fluoride will still get into your system because it's in our food and our drinks as well, so don't be too obsessed with trying to eliminate it 100%, but you might like to do your own research and find out if your water company adds fluoride to your tap water. And I also stopped drinking black tea because I discovered there's a lot of fluoride in tea. But herbal teas and rooibos don't have any, and neither does coffee. Now, it's entirely your choice whether to cut down the amount of fluoride you're consuming, but knowledge is power, as they say, and I want to ensure I'm sharing this message for those it resonates with. Coming on to food. Do you think our food is designed to keep us healthy and thriving, or is a lot of it designed to keep us sick? We don't actually get a huge amount of choice about what we eat. We buy whatever's available to us in our shops and supermarkets. So we can get trapped in a cycle of eating, getting sick and getting better. Food is heavily advertised with fancy, colourful packaging and TV adverts. If you removed all of the packaging from the foods we buy, would we make the same choices when we do our weekly shop? Or are we making choices based on what we've been programmed to believe we want or need? There's so much information out there about foods and diets, so I'd recommend you meditate before you eat and ask your body what it wants. Ignore the TV adverts and the fancy packaging. They're designed to make us hungry and want to eat food that often isn't that great for our bodies. But take notice of what your body is telling you in relation to food. I can't and would never advise on what sort of diet you should have. Only you can decide that. Different bodies need different things. But before you start eating, ask yourself, does my body want this? Does my energy want it? Or was I just attracted to something else like the packaging? Focus on the actual food, the taste, the texture, the smell, and what your body is saying to you. With medicines and supplements, consider the income many industries make selling us diet foods, slimming pills, drugs to make us better. So on the one hand, we're being sold foods that aren't particularly good for us, and then we're being sold diet pills to get us to slim down. So you can get trapped in that kind of cycle. I personally don't believe we need a pill for everything, but that's often what we're sold. If I have a headache, for example, I don't tend to take a tablet. I want to know what's causing it. If I've been on the computer for too long, I need to step away from it, not take a tablet. Not to be disrespectful to modern medicine, everything has its place, but I do believe there's a problem with overconsumption and over-reliance on medication that's being driven by huge profit-making companies. So before you take a pill, ask your body what it needs. You might be surprised at what comes through. Let's move on to talk about clothing. I had a conversation with somebody a while ago about the frequency of fabrics, and I decided to do some research. I found a couple of articles pointing to the fact that fabrics and textiles hold certain frequencies. Now, there isn't a huge amount of information out there that I could find, but I sat with this concept and I asked my higher self to show me how different fabrics are affecting how I feel and my health and my energy field. Now, I am sensitive to things around me and I'm very much in tune with how my body feels around and reacts to certain things. So my body's always been a little bit on the sensitive side, and my skin doesn't like biological washing powder, heavily perfumed products, or wearing jewellery for too long. I'm not as sensitive to the extreme, but I just need to be aware of what I put around or on my body. But I'd never really considered fabrics. I always just bought whatever clothes I thought looked nice. But I decided to give it a go, and I started ordering organic cotton clothing and linen clothing. And I then realised that about 90% of my wardrobe contained polyester clothing. So I did some research on polyester because, to be honest, I didn't really know what it was. And I discovered that polyester is a synthetic fibre which, when produced, has a harmful impact on the environment. And it's made from petroleum-based synthetic fibres, so it's basically plastic in a fabric form. Now, these days you can get recycled polyester clothing made from recycled plastic bottles, so that counters some of the environmental damage. But I just asked myself, do I really want to wear plastic next to my skin? So by asking that question, it's made me consider what I buy and what I put next to my skin. Our skin is our largest organ, and we absorb things into our skin as we absorb things into our field. Knowing that, it made me consider the fabrics I wear, the creams and lotions I was using on my face and body, and reading labels to see exactly what I'm putting into my body. According to what I discovered, organic cotton is quite high in frequency and linen is very high in frequency. But regardless of the frequency of the fabric, I decided to make a change and start to change my wardrobe and buy natural fabrics. I feel better knowing that I'm putting something more natural next to my skin. So I made that choice myself through listening to my body and not just relying on what I found online. So I'd recommend that that's what you do as well. Let's talk now about music and the music you consume. What kind of lyrics do you sing along to? From as far back as I can remember, as a child, I've always been careful with music lyrics, and I've had an aversion to singing negative lyrics because I thought that if I sang those words, it would come true. After all, what you repeat out loud is a form of affirmation. So who wants to sing about broken hearts or death? So I'm really careful now what I sing along to. I want to feel good, positive and happy, so I listen to music that contains that vibration. On that note, my spirit team often send me songs, so I'll randomly get a song stuck in my head that I've not heard that day. Sometimes it's songs that aren't even from my era that I've never really listened to, but there's something in the lyrics that my guides want to draw my attention to. So here's an example. I was out recently walking my dog and suddenly the song Fear from Ian Brown popped into my head. Now this song's lyrics are all based on the acronym FEAR, which stands for fear. Now the song is meant to inspire people to rise above fear, recognising how that word is used against us. So it's actually showing how potent the words are. And the lyrics that came into my head were as follows. Forget everything and remember, for everything a reason. I only heard that part of the song in my head, just that little snippet. So I came home and I broke the words down and I got a message just for me. Forget everything and remember. We're being encouraged to forget everything we've been told, all the negative programming we've been given, all the lies we've been told by those who want to keep us in the matrix. And the and remember bit for me means remember who you are. Remember the spiritual being you were before you came to earth. And of course, you are still that spiritual being now. So forget everything and remember instantly made sense to me. Forget your programming, forget the lies, and remember who you are. Remembering who you are awakens you to your mission here on earth. And then the next line I was singing in my head was, for everything a reason, and that reminded me that we're here for a purpose. The world can seem a bit bleak at times, but everything is playing out as it should. We're waking up and remembering why we came here and why we chose to incarnate at this specific time on earth. So I love it when my guides send me messages through song lyrics. the meanings I get from the lyrics always seem to come really fast and just make perfect sense to me at the time that I receive them. So music and lyrics are very powerful. You might want to look into the water experiment by Dr. Emoto, where human words, intentions and thoughts have been shown to have an effect on water. As humans, we have a lot of water in our bodies, so what effect can words have on us? I tested this experiment out and I did something called the rice experiment, which is also by Dr. Emoto, and you could look that up on the internet and find out more about it. I cooked some rice and water and I put the cooked rice into 2 identical clean jars. I then spoke to each of the jars of rice for the following 3 to 4 weeks. I did feel a little bit weird doing that, to be honest, but it was so worth it. Now, one of the jars I only said negative, hateful words to. The other one I only spoke positive, loving words to. That was all. Really simple task. After the time period had finished, I didn't notice any difference between the 2 jars. I thought one would go mouldy, which was kind of the point of the experiment. However, when I opened the lids, one jar smelled really sweet and lovely, and that was the one I spoke positive words to. The other jar absolutely stank. It was horrific. The smell was rancid. It was actually difficult to put it into words how bad it was. But both jars had been kept in the same conditions, about a foot apart from each other by the front door of my house. The only difference was the words I was using to speak to each jar. That's how impactful our words are. Doing the experiment yourself really brings that message home. So I would recommend looking up Dr. Emoto and his experiments and doing the rice experiment yourself so you can see the impact firsthand. Bearing that experiment in mind and knowing how our words and our intentions can affect water, we can affect the food and the water that we consume. Many of our foods contain water, so you might want to start to bless your food and your water by showing it some gratitude. Say out loud to your food and anything you drink before you consume it how grateful you are for it, how much it nourishes your body and how pure it is. And if you start to speak to your body in the same way, then that could also have a really powerful impact.